Great is the daughter of heaven who tortures infants. Her hand is a net, her embrace is death. She roars like a lion, she constantly howls like a demon dog. A Lamashtan prayer from Osirian. Lamashtu, the mother of monsters, goddess of madness, monsters, and nightmares. Her alignment is chaotic evil. Her domains are chaos, evil, madness, strength, and trickery. Her favored weapon is the falchion. Centers of worship include Belkzen, Irisin, Ketepesh, Nex, Osirian, River Kingdoms, Varisia, and the World Wound. Her nationality is demon.
Lamashtu is the mother of monsters, devourer of infants, and source of all that is corrupted and bestial. A monstrous and terrifying deity born from the depths of madness, she is both fiendish queen and revered mother of the horrors that stalk the night. She is a fertility goddess, but though those who pray to her are certainly more likely to survive childbirth, their offspring will be inevitably tainted. Legends say that from her womb sprang many of Golarian's monstrous races, goblins, gnolls, and other foul spawn too numerous to count. Her dominion over the beasts makes the wilderness a fearsome place, while her nightmares invade the peace of sleep. The endless screams of the insane are glorious hymns to her, and the destruction of all things lies within her desire. Lamashtu's goal is to corrupt mortals and twist the entire world into a misshapen brood, an enormous monstrous family devoted to her. She is neither an empire builder nor a conquering warlord. If her world is full of warring tribes, so much the better, for it means there will always be a need for many births to replenish the ranks of the fallen. The primitive and desperate have long sacrificed others' newborns to protect their own, and many stories of infants stolen and replaced with wicked fairy kind are actually Lamashtu's altered infants, who appear normal and then transform overnight into monsters. Lamashtu revels in the destroying of the most innocent, whether defiling their flesh or tainting their minds. To her a nursery is a banquet. The mother of monsters tore out her own womb and feasted upon it to gain power over the unborn, then regenerated her own flesh by consuming 1,000 stolen infants. Her milk can sustain, poison, and even transform those who drink it. Lamashtu steals seed from men while they sleep and uses that to create half-breed monsters that she later sends to shame and wound their fathers. Her touch and breath cause stillbirth and infant deformities, and those who suffer this are usually plagued by nightmares. Lamashtu has dominion over all unintelligent monsters. She murdered the god Kirchanos and stole his dominion over beasts, which is why the untamed creatures of the world consider humanoids their enemies. Many strange and unique monsters arise from her whim, and she enjoys molding the flesh of radically different beasts to create a new terror. Those plagued by monsters can pray to her for assistance, and in exchange for loyalty and offerings of newborns or infants, or sometimes merely breast milk or placentas, if she is in a good mood, Lamashtu sends her minions away to prey upon unbelievers. Her name can be invoked as a charm or prayer against nightmares, but using it might draw her attention and lead to monstrous births if the invoker is not a member of her cult or doesn't make an appropriately grisly sacrifice. Lamashtu's worshippers believe that purity and perfection are temporary or illusionary, while corruption and flaws are the natural and final state of things. While high-minded artists and philosophers might argue that change is a dynamic agent that prevents the stagnation of civilization, the followers of the Mother of Monsters only want to bend, tear, and break the blasphemous beauty they see in the world. Her true form is a pregnant woman with three-eyed jackal head, taloned bird legs, and black hawk wings. The state of her pregnancy varies, but she is always visibly pregnant, and often hugely so, though this never affects her mobility. She carries two blades, one shrouded in fire called Red Lust, and one crusted in frost called Chillheart. Her voice is deep and rich, and rises to a howl when enraged. Her screams are like a lion's roar and can be heard for miles. When the Mother of Beasts is angry, her victims suffer painful joints, infections, and nightmares. For her worshippers, giving birth to an untainted child is a sign of great disfavor and shame, requiring sacrifices to atone, starting with that of the unwanted newborn. Her greatest disfavor results in the monstrous parents giving birth to children of a people cursed with beauty, such as elves. Worshippers asking her for signs generally undergo physical changes. A priest asking whether to pursue a vendetta against an old foe might wake to find his canine teeth elongated into fangs. Such changes tend to last only a few hours and give no significant advantage. Lamashtu may also send messages through nightmares. A hunter might receive a vivid nightmare of Lamashtu biting the head off of a dwarven infant, thus directing him to kill the dwarven captain, the head or leader of the group, to force pesky dwarven soldiers to return to their base. In rare cases, injured worshippers deep in her favor might wake to find wounds half healed or a lost limb regrown, though she is not a healing deity. And in these cases, the result is meant to stand as a testament to her unnatural innervation. A man with a belly wound might have pink scarring and strange hairy growths. A human amputee might have a gnoll's leg, and so on. Lamashtu's holy symbol is a three-eyed jackal head. Though her favored weapon is a falchion, the kukri and its murderous implications is also valued and used by those of her faith. Most of her clergy are clerics, though many lesser humanoid clergy are adepts. A small number are rangers, and a handful are corrupted druids. She is called the Demon Queen, the Mother of Beasts, and the Demon Mother. But despite her titles, she isn't the creator of the demon race as a whole, though many such fiends serve her, and she herself was once numbered among the demon lords of the abyss. Along with numerous well-known demons, 7 powerful demonic sorceresses serve her, called the 7 Witches. In some tales they are identified as her most powerful daughters. Lamashtu's church is scattered and lacks an overall hierarchy. It is rare that 2 priests come into conflict, as they recognize their shared devotion as well as the hostility they face outside the faith. When conflict is inevitable, priests compare scars, number of offspring, and malformities to determine which is superior. Magical power is the last element to be compared. A less experienced priestess with 6 children can have a higher status than an older one with fewer surviving children. Conflict among tribes that worship Lamashtu is just as rare. Services to Lamashtu include howling, screaming, branding, bloodletting, childbirth, and sacrificing humanoids or animals. The use of music is limited to a throbbing drumbeat that sets the tempo for the ceremony's events. Services usually take place at night or underground, though an auspicious labor or a particularly long and painful birth might inspire a ritual no matter when it occurs. The use of intoxicants is a common part of Lamashtan rituals, which often devolve into orgasmic excess of food, sex, hallucination, and violence. The Demon Queen's followers ritually eat hallucinogenic plants and poisonous animals to alter their perceptions of the material world, sometimes causing permanent mental changes and insanity, though in most cases the substances can only cause vivid, dreamlike, or nightmarish visions. Cultists have also been known to poison others with those materials in order to sow chaos. Though most cultists are too crude and direct to formulate complex attacks against the psyche, particularly devious members have been known to harass and demoralize opposing groups, such as monk orders and religions that espouse physical beauty, with horrifying campaigns of torture and humiliation intended to break the enemy's spirits. Communing with the Demon Queen typically involves an animal or beast for her to possess and some sort of meat sacrifice for the creature to eat. Lamashtu's worshippers often perform ritualistic self-mutilation to prove their devotion to her, wearing their scars as trophies until the lucky day when she graces them with some kind of deformity, which they then display with pride and reverence. A rare few use primitive surgery to make these alterations, but most are just masochists with high tolerance for pain and crippling injuries. Those that wholly abandon their original appearance to become more bestial are highly respected for their physical sacrifices, and gain power and favor in the goddess's eyes. Adventurers tell of at least one pink-skinned Knoll chieftain who speaks like a human nobleman raised in a great city. Pregnant cultists can pray for Lamashtu's blessing, transforming their unborn into monsters that claw their way free of the womb, leaving behind horrific scarring that the faithful wear as signs of devotion and piety. In these ritual births, magical healing is shunned as it prevents scarring, though non-magical healers are typically present to give the mothers a chance of surviving. Because they can bear children, female cultists rank high in Lamashtu's worshipping communities. Bearing many monstrous children is an ambitious goal for many cultists, especially as some of Lamashtu's spawn are too deformed or fragile to survive long. But success brings with it the deep respect of other worshippers. Barren women tend to have low status within the Lamashtan tribe and often try to make themselves useful to the tribe in other ways, hunting, raiding, and guarding whenever possible, lest they risk being shunned, as Lamashtu's worshippers consider infertility a curse from the Demon Queen. Some male worshippers of Lamashtu, jealous of the revered position of female clergy members, go to outlandish and repulsive lengths to mimic the ability to give birth, willingly becoming the vessels of rot grubs, zill eggs, vrock swarms, and other terrible parasites. The Demon Queen's church operates on the outskirts of civilization. Most primitive humanoids worship her outside or underground, their gathering places simple affairs, usually a flat, blood-stained rock, suitable for sacrifices, or more ornate rings of stones and idols carved with the goddess's image. Civilized folk usually cannot worship Lamashtu publicly, and thus only construct churches officially dedicated to her in the most depraved lands, such as Belkazin and the Whirlwood. More commonly, her worshippers build an elaborate hidden shrine beneath the cities, in ruins, or in other secret redoubts. In such places, Lamashtu's faithful pay their foul mistress honor as grandly as secrecy allows. In both cases, Lamashtu's shrines feature an altar with a shallow basin. Some sites built to honor the goddess, and where the faithful make regular blood sacrifices to her, are blessed with the waters of Lamashtu, a foul, unholy fluid that bubbles up upon the altar or in specially consecrated founts. If a creature drinks of this waters, he suffers terrible side effects. Lamashtu's faith is ancient, yet still very primitive in its beliefs and habits. A priest must ensure the strength of his people's faith, tend to their physical injuries, especially those whose deformities are a significant hindrance, spiritually guide them through hard times by focusing on the hideous glory of the Demon Queen, and interpret signs of Lamashtu's favor and displeasure. Her priests use magic, faith, and flesh to soothe disputes and settle arguments. A spell used for compulsion, a threat of torture in the afterlife, or an intimate encounter might be exactly what someone needs to diffuse his anger, jealousy, or desire for vengeance. Promiscuity is as much a part of the cleric's role as healing, and most leave multiple children in their wakes. Marriages or lifetime pairings are exceedingly rare in the cult, especially among uncivilized humanoids. Male priests usually aren't sure how many children they've sired, and female priests generally can't identify their children's fathers. Lamashtu's priests learn early not to grow too attached to a particular person or thing, as sometimes the best way to settle a dispute is to murder or banish one of the parties. Exposed to deformity at an early age and taught to view it as a sign of their patroness's favor, they are unblinking in the face of horrible afflictions and willing to choose close encounters with people that civilized folk would consider unclean or unholy, often with a fiendish degree. Priests are responsible for teaching the young about the Mother of Monsters and making sure they understand her importance in their lives. They eagerly punish reluctant children, either with painful physical transformations or by plaguing them with horrible nightmares. The children among Lamashtu's worshippers often don't have identifiable parents, and her priests act as disciplinarians and harsh role models, guiding the next generation in the goddess's merciless ways. Some priests have discovered magical means of impregnating both male and female humanoids, and priests often tend to the resulting monstrous offspring, which may require a specialized nursery. Because of such intertwined relationships, most priests have strong ties to their community and are rarely encountered alone. Those traveling solo are usually on a mission or vision quest, the last survivor of a dead cult, or an exile in search of a new tribe. Sometimes these loners hide for a time among lepers and beggars, using their misshapen flesh to blend in and create new converts to the faith. Other priests use their magic and knowledge to infiltrate madhouses, in the role of a healer, arranging for escapes for those who might serve the cult's purposes. A typical day for a priest involves waking, blessing the tribe's food, physical examination of themselves and others for new flesh or abilities, some manner of masochistic prayer, performing rites over a pregnant tribe member, and tending to any monsters or beasts allied with the cult. A cleric normally prepares spells after the evening's tribal rituals. The clergy have no official ranks. All are merely priests unless they gather enough fame and power to lead their tribe. A priest with a gift in a particular area might acquire a title appropriate to that trait, prophet, war leader, and so on. But this carries no concrete status within the church. The cult's association with ferocious beasts often puts druids and rangers sworn to Lamashtu in prominent roles among cults. Among the more primitive, they may be the head priest or war leader. Most priests have training on how to handle animals, heal people, and intimidate, and an appropriate knowledge about a skill relating to their local monsters. Lamashtu began her existence among the throngs of the abyss, and she retains many connections to that fiendish realm and the perverse spellcasters who seek power from its denizens. The church welcomes demonics, as they offer their patroness as much or more zeal as clerics. Their pacts with the goddess are business-like exchanges of service for power, but the Mother of Monsters does not begrudge their arrangement. To most of Lamashtu's servants, the distinction between cleric and demonic is semantic, as they fill the same roles in the goddess's cults and tribes. The leaders of Lamashtu's children are proud of their deformities and rage against civilization. They seek to tear the blinders from the eyes of the world and show them the nightmarish nature, the writhing and endlessly finked truth. Their code is one of bloodshed and howling madness. Its tenets include the following adages. All things are monstrous, and only the weak hide their marks. I show the world as it is. I will bring the outcasts in from the cold and teach them the taste of victory. I fill the wombs, I birth the children, I teach our enemies why they fear the night. I bring madness to the cities, that in their blood and fear they may understand the chaos of the world. I will spread the mother's seed. If the blind cannot be taught to see, their children can. The worshippers of Lamashtu are monstrous, whether in appearance or deep in their souls. Her worshippers wish nothing less than overarching corruption, destruction, and the defilement of all that is beautiful. They are outsiders and rejects from civilized society, often from birth, and see existence as an endless bath of blood and entrails, a constant churn of life rising and falling under the teeth and blades of those stronger, smarter, or luckier. They believe in the propagation of monsters, all sorts of crossbreeds and abominations, and the hot and vicious filth of life. They are the incarnations of vile, poisoned fertility. Worshippers of Lamashtu may venture forth and even ally with those outside the faith in order to seek out monsters or great beasts to serve their cult, to blood themselves, and prove their strength, so that they may return to their tribe and be accorded greater status, or to find parents, willing or unwilling, for their monstrous offspring. War means birth, as the children of the submission and slavery grow to loathe and replace their forefathers. Ritual garb for priests may include jackal masks made with leather or precious metal, horned headdresses, cloaks of shaggy fur or black feathers, and pairs of falchions or kukris decorated to resemble the demon queen's own weapons. Wealthy followers might imbue these weapons with a flaming or frost ability, though a continual flame spell is a similar look, and red and blue paint are satisfactory representations of the icons. Most wear her symbol as an amulet, brand, or tattoo. Brown and black are typical clothing colors, more out of convenience and availability than preference for these shades, though they do match the goddess's fur and wings. Although most Lamashtan writings are clawed in stone or painted in blood, her holiest teachings can be found in a pair of profane references. The Four Hides of the Lam. This text is a series of 3 leather strips stitched together and marked with simple runes telling the history and lessons of the demon queen. Lam, a hero of the faith, created this item by pulling strips of flesh from her own body, tanning them to make the leather, and painting them. 2 of the strips have been torn and repaired, and legend tells of a 4th strip containing a heresy expunged from the culture lore. The Skull of Mashag. This is the preserved skull of a Yanit champion slain by a cleric of Desna. The skull was found intact by a Lamashtan priest and empowered with the ability to speak the demon queen's doctrine in several different humanoid languages, as well as in Abyssal. Every few years a number of Lamashtan cults meet to hear the skull speak, and heroes of each cult face off in contest of strength to determine which cult holds the skull until the next meeting. On these occasions, the skull makes observations as if it were of its own sentient being. The cults of Lamashtu celebrate no known regular holidays, though they engage in debauched hedonism to celebrate births, deformities, and demonic visitations. The entire month of Lamashtan is sacred to them, not only because it is named for their goddess, but because it represents the transition from fall to winter, a time of year when the weakest offspring die from the first seasonal illness. Servants of Lamashtu extol the insane wisdom of the Mother of Monsters, often in the form of short mantras or savage truths.
Blessed be the Mother.
An oath to the Demon Queen and praise to mortal mothers, this invocation may be a battle cry, a plea for help, or a prayer of thanks, depending on the context. It is chanted during childbirth to link the expected mother to Lamashtu, so the goddess takes notice and brings forth a strong, though defiled, new life. In rituals where creatures are sacrificed, the victim is bled first, and the blood used to spell this phrase on the ground in simple runes.
The scars are the proof.
Rival cultists of Lamashtu often challenge each other to a duel of scars, in which they compare scarring to see who has been in more battles or marked himself to a greater extent. The one with the most scars is considered the victor. If the decision is too close to call, opponents may take turns branding or cutting themselves until one concedes victory. Among women, the rough belly scars from monstrous births are proof of the goddess's favor and are often the deciding factor in a scar duel. Lamashtu considers all other gods her enemies, although she focuses her energy on nurturing her children and expanding the lands for them to inhabit. She knows Desna hates her for killing the god Kirchanas and stealing his power over beasts, as well as for her control of nightmares, but she treats the childless, flighty goddess as beneath her notice. She sees Urgathoa as a rival, as the Pallid Princess's deathless followers can multiply quickly and have the potential to swarm the mortal world. Lamashtu wars with Rovagug over the control of the various races and tribes of uncivilized humanoids that revere him. She has a vague interest in capturing Shaylin and transforming her into a hideous breeder of monsters, but such interest can wait until her offspring cover the mortal world. Though she distrusts any beings that rival her or approach her in power, Lamashtu does occasionally work with other deities or demigods when it serves her interests. She created a realm in the abyss and gifted it to the 4 gods known as the Goblin Hero Gods, in return for their help in ensuring that goblins worship the Demon Queen above all others. Lamashtu also makes occasional deals with demon lords, but never with Pazuzu, her former lover, for whom she brooks no quarter. Pazuzu is one of the most ancient demon lords, and his long conflict with Lamashtu has prevented him from achieving greater power or perhaps even ascending to godhood himself. This knowledge only serves as a goad for his hatred of the Demon Queen. Accounts differ as to whether the king of the wind demons and the mother of monsters began as siblings, lovers, or merely allies, but most agree that they slaughtered thousands of greater demons and claimed a large territory they ruined and ruled together. When the Demon Queen tore away Kirchanas' power over the wild beasts, her ascent to power and greater status infuriated Pazuzu. When she returned from battle, he stabbed her with a shard of cold iron snapped from the heart of a mountain, maiming her wings and casting her into an infinitely deep chasm at the edge of their sacred realm. It took her centuries to recover, but upon her emergence from the pit, she wrestled control of her territory from Pazuzu. She hopes to someday capture him, break his wings, and imprison him for 1,000 years before finally eating his heart. To this day, his name is believed to disperse her influence, and mortals fearful of her corrupting touch put amulets of Pazuzu's name or image around the necks of pregnant women and newborns to ward her away. Her faithful are generally hostile toward other faiths, no matter how closely aligned their goals are. The rare exception comes from the worshippers of the demons like Sokol Benoth and Noctilicula, who claim or seek to be the demon queen's servants or lovers. Particularly ambitious Lamashtans may infiltrate other faiths to corrupt them from within, sowing nightmares, suspicions, infighting, and even monstrous offspring among them, a tactic they particularly favor against worshippers of Pharasma because they are shared interest in births. Lamashtu claims Cernugia, the largest lair of the abyss, as her personal realm. Cernugia's vast, world-swallowing size allows it to include all known terrestrial terrains, seeming jungles, parched deserts, ice-caked mountains, vast seas, immense swamps, and more. Other decidedly non-terrestrial terrains exist here as well, violent and insane regions that only the abyss could host. All of these realms are infested with demons, ruled by great nations of warring fiendish gnolls, or otherwise in menical or non-demonic life. Lamashtu's seat of power upon the plain is the palace city of Yanaron, a towering mass of strange spires and towers, itself the size of a world, positioned in the center of an impossibly large mesa. The diamond-shaped city that surrounds the entire palace is heavily populated by abyssal creatures hand-picked by the Demon Queen for their loyalty and unique deformities, all fighting wars for positions in this legendary city. Several nonsense demon lords dwell here as well, powerful minions of Lamashtu that may soon become true demon lords and rulers of abyssal realms of their own, including many-bodied Izyagna, skulking and filthy Murnath, and shadowy Night Ripper. Along with the Simhazane demons, Swathes, and Yanits, the following outsiders serve Lamashtu and only willingly answer Planar ally and similar calling spells from her faithful. Bloodmaw, a unique Yethhound. This beast leads a large pack in Lamashtu's realm and stands out because of his different colored eyes. One glows green, the other glows the normal red. He can't use weapons that require hands and refuses to serve if offered such things as payment. He and his pack understand abyssal and infernal, yet Hazmari. This jackal-like beast serves as Lamashtu's herald. As much as Yethazmari delights in the war-torn devastation of the abyss, it exalts in every opportunity to rampage upon the material plane. On the rare occasions that Lamashtu sends her herald to Golarion, the servants of the Mother of Monsters flock to its side, an act of dangerous fanaticism, as the beast is just as likely to prey upon allies as foes. Worshippers of Lamashtu claim that no host joined with the Demon Queen's herald has ever been defeated. Legend of Yethazmari often say that it is accompanied by a pack of powerful Yethhounds known as the Black Hunt. These Yethhounds claim direct parentage from the herald and are among the oldest and strongest of their kind. Should Yethazmari be killed on the material plane, it is said that his essence chooses one from among his pack to bind with, resurrecting the ancient fiend.
Hi everyone. That finishes up Lamashtu, the Mother of Monsters. Next up is Urgathoa, the Paladin Princess. So if you've got an evil necromancer in your party, make sure he watches the next video. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.